Picture this: pulling off a scam so incredible, you managed to sell a completely imaginary airport for a whopping $242 million. Sounds like something out of a movie, right? But that's exactly what happened in one of the most astonishing cons in history, and it didn't even happen over the internet. Now, most of us have heard of those famous Nigerian scam emails, the ones with princes or bank officials offering you a fortune if you just send a small deposit. Well, what if I told you today's story happened before the internet age and those modern internet scammers? Yeah, they're nothing compared to the mastermind we're about to talk about. This is the incredible tale of how a Nigerian con artist sold a fake airport to a major bank for hundreds of millions. Let's rewind to 1995. The manager of Brazil's Banco Noroeste, Nelson Sakaguchi, gets a call like no other, from none other than the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. That's like the finance minister of the whole country. When someone of that rank calls, you listen. On this sudden international call, the governor pitches an amazing opportunity. Nigeria is looking to build a brand new airport in its booming new capital, Abuja, and they need investors. The project would cost $250 million, and they're inviting only select banks around the world to get in on it before someone else swoops in. For Sakaguchi, it sounded like a dream come true. Airports are worth a fortune, easily making back their investment in a short time. And to sweeten the deal, the governor offers him a $10 million personal commission for making the deal happen. Sakaguchi was hooked. He wasn't risking his own money after all, just the bank's. Soon, after a bit of back and forth, he agreed to invest. What he didn't know? He wasn't talking to any Nigerian official. He was talking to a con man named Emmanuel Nwude. Not only had Nwude never worked for the government, but the airport was a total fantasy. Who was Emmanuel Nwude? He was actually the director of a private commercial bank in Nigeria. Ambitious and already well off, Nwude wanted more, millions more. So he cooked up a daring plan. He'd pose as Nigeria's banking chief to lure foreign investors into a massive fake infrastructure project. But to make this lie bulletproof, Nwude assembled a crew of 5 insiders, all with deep roots in banking and plenty of knowledge about how to manipulate the system. Here's how their plan rolled out. They drafted official-looking faxes, supposedly from Nigeria's Ministry of Aviation, hunting for investment in a major new airport right after Abuja became the new capital. Believe it or not, Nigeria truly did have big plans for Abuja back then, which only made the scam sound more plausible. The crew used real government fax machines to make their messages look even more authentic and sent them to banks all over the world. One made its way to Sakaguchi in Brazil, and, seeing an official stamp and letterhead, he took the bait. Sakaguchi was already seeking investments in emerging markets, so when he got that fax, it seemed like destiny. He replied, and soon got a call from Nwude, playing the role of central bank governor. After some long-distance chats, they agreed to meet in neutral London instead of Nigeria or Brazil to keep things hush-hush. Now imagine this. Sakaguchi flies into London. He's greeted with a limousine and checked into a lavish hotel suite. At the big meeting, Nwude and his team, each playing high-profile government officials, roll out fake airport blueprints and impressive-looking business documents. They even have counterfeit photos of themselves with Nigerian presidents. Back then, there was no Google to quickly verify who's who, which helped sell the con. During the meeting, Nwude kept pressing the point. The project had to stay secret, but funding needed to start right away. Sakaguchi hesitated. Should he really send millions for a project that wouldn't break ground for several years? But Nwude was persuasive, reminding him of that fat $10 million commission and hinting that other investors were waiting in line. That did it. Sakaguchi wanted his piece of the pie. It was agreed. The bank would invest $242 million in the deal, an astronomical sum, especially in 1995. Before the meeting ended, Sakaguchi was pressured to wire $3 million as a deposit, just to prove his commitment. Reluctantly, he agreed. This psychological grip kept him on the hook. hoping the big returns would justify his growing doubt. Over the next 3 years, Sakaguchi, trying to keep everything secret, funneled millions more to the scammers through a carefully orchestrated maze of bank accounts in different countries, always under $6 million each, so he didn't need board approval. Using 17 banks worldwide, Nwude and his crew laundered the money masterfully, investing it in real estate and shares around the globe. As unbelievable as it sounds, no one at the Brazilian bank noticed, until the Spanish Santander Bank moved to acquire Banco Noroeste. During due diligence, a massive chunk of Noroeste's money was just gone. Sakaguchi, confronted by the board, had to admit he'd sent $242 million to Nigeria, personally handling every secret transfer. The bank directors were stunned. How had this fraud gone unnoticed for years? A full-blown investigation began. Following the money trail through multiple banks and countries, investigators zeroed in on Nigeria. The problem? At that time, Nigeria had almost no laws against financial fraud, and officials could easily be bribed. International pressure, mainly from Swiss banks, finally forced local Nigerian banks to reveal account holders, and Emmanuel Nwude and his accomplices were unmasked. But it wasn't so simple. Despite their exposure, Nwude and his crew remained free for years, protected by weak laws and perhaps a few well-placed bribes. Meanwhile, Santander swallowed Noroeste for a fraction of its valor, and Sakaguchi was imprisoned in Switzerland for fraud and money laundering. Pressure for justice grew. In 2003, Nigeria's new president created the country's first financial crimes commission. The following year, they reopened the case, and after much drama, like bribery attempts, last-second bomb threats, and all manner of stalling tactics, Nwude and 4 of his co-conspirators were finally arrested and put on trial. A 6th member died in mysterious circumstances. Some say it was an accident, others think it was more sinister. At the trial, Sakaguchi himself was called as a key witness, testifying how Nwude played him from beginning to end. Faced with mounting evidence, Nwude eventually struck a deal. He'd return $120 million and pay a fine in exchange for a reduced sentence. But in true Nwude fashion, he only spent about 2 years in prison and successfully sued to recover about $50 million in seized assets through, guess what, more bribery. And what became of Emmanuel Nwude, the man behind the world's greatest imaginary airport scam? After a few years of luxury, he found himself back in prison in 2016, this time accused of orchestrating violence over land disputes. But if history has taught us anything about Nigeria's most notorious conman, it's that he'll likely slip out yet again. Rich, untouchable, and legendary. So, the next time you see a suspicious email offering you millions, remember, somebody once fooled a major bank out of nearly $250 million, all with nothing but fake paperwork, smooth talk, and an airport that only existed in his imagination. Since you made it this far, I want to thank you for watching our content and suggest you an even more crazy story, one about the poison island called Guinard near Scotland, where secret anthrax experiments took place after World War II.